Hey everyone, Jeff here, and welcome to the next video in the Return to Clockwork City Elder Scrolls Legends expansion. Let's play. We are continuing Episode 1, The Lost Treasure, in today's video. Split this up into two just to make it more manageable so there wasn't, a 3-hour video at a time. And again, trying to play some different decks versus the Fall of the Dark Brotherhood expansion, where the new expansion, Houses of Morrowind, just dropped, and I basically only had one good deck based on the cards I had, and that's what I ran the whole time through that. So, let's dive into another match.
The hero searched the wood for the old man's ring until running afoul of a vicious werewolf.
Okay, werewolves, very cool. So, I should mention in this video, I don't know if I should mention it, I'm going to, that I played pretty extensively on the ladder with Tribunal, Telvanni, and Lalu classes, and I have them all labeled as jank decks because I actually don't think they're good. It's just, the cards that I have in those colors. And this is the first one I built because I have the Duke, so why not? And then I like drawing cards, and green has some really nice engines to do that in the Little Argonian and then Eclipse Baroness, which, by the way, is a total bomb. And the Telvanni mirror match, I hypothesized that the first player to play Eclipse Baroness would probably win the game, and I think that was the case like 95% of the time. So pretty interesting there. And then Tribunal I've just been experimenting with a bit as kind of a really, really hard control deck. They're all sort of just big value. I just tried to put the best value stuff I have in every mana spot in the deck. But I don't think I played the Tribunal one in any of the matches. And I just today got to I advanced to rank 7. Which I don't think is bad, considering I've been playing the game for, a week and a half or whatever it is. But this just plays pretty hard as a control deck. And I'm just going to go through some of my deck choices, and then I want to feature this in a few matches. I really haven't had the chance to play this too much, but you have your Execute, your Firebolts, your Harpies. This card I only have one of, but I mentioned another deck. I think I really like it. You could give something in the Shadowlane Guard and then trade into it with one of your creatures if your opponent is trying to hide something. Plus, it draws you a card, so it does cycle itself. I only have one, so I'm running one. I only have one of these. It's the only Exalt creature I think I have at all so far. Something to keep in mind as you watch this, although I am playing the 3 attribute decks, is that I only got like whatever the Houses of Morrowind starter, $5 thing was. So I only have a handful of packs. So this is the only Exalt trigger I have in the entire game. And I figured I needed something else in the 2-drop spot. I'm going to experiment with it. I've gotten some really great value off of this card. The Atronach actually helped me win the last game I just played. So, and then your Wardcrafter, great value. Grizzly Gourmet as removal. Mage's Trick, I'm testing this out instead of Crushing Blow, by the way. I had Crushing Blow in here, and I'm not sure if that's better in a vacuum. This cycles itself, which is really nice. I don't know that the health gain matters, but a lot of stuff you can, trade into and get them down to 1 life. And a lot of creatures just have 1 toughness, like 1 toughness, 1 toughness, 1 toughness, 1 toughness. There's 4 creatures on this page alone that just have 1 toughness. So Mage's Trick very often can just kill something for me, and it cycles itself. Revealing the Unseen for a bit of fun. Treeminder, because I needed a 3-drop spot, and it just helps us get to our late game. Schemer for draw. Hive Defender because it's great. Lightning Bolt because it's great. This is because it's again one of the only new cards I have. I don't know that gaining health matters, but yeah, I think if you can pull off both of these effects, for 4 you get a 3/3 body, 4 health, and a max magicka. Doesn't suck. Prophecy action. Yeah, I mean, and the rest you've seen in a lot of the other decks I played. Temple Patriarch is literally only here so that I can play all 3 of these colors. It's the only card I have that has all 3 attributes. So, this is going to be the deck. Let's play. Thornwell Beast, Roar, Only 15 life. Hercine's power lets the beast heal quickly. Try to take it down in one turn. I wish this were the case in Skyrim. For those of you who never played Skyrim, playing as a werewolf, you're basically just a glass cannon. You have no real armor or defense or protection. Do we keep Grizzly Gourmet here as removal for a small guy? I mean, we could play it on turn 2. Sure, let's ship that back. I think we keep the ramp. Plus, it's a guard. Why not? Yeah, so for those of you who haven't played Skyrim, you won't really... Oh, yeah, see, that's going to be good. You won't really understand this, but yeah, the werewolves are kind of a glass cannon type thing where you become a werewolf, you transform into a werewolf. You really, I mean, there are perks that give you better armor and stuff like that, but if you don't kill them real fast, they will kill you. At the start of your turn, heal back to 15 health. Okay. Well, I think the play here is obvious. Should I firebolt this 2-1? See, now here's where Mage's Trick would take out a legendary and cycle a card, right? So that doesn't seem like it sucks. Let's just firebolt this and pass our turn. And then next turn, maybe our opponent just plays another one and we can Grizzly... Oh, see, you had to do that, right? Alright, well, I guess we'll just prevent some damage. I think if this deck gets online against whatever our opponent is trying to do, then we'll be in really good shape. And here we go. Grizzly Gourmet is going to be an all-star here, transforming Grim Shield Brother into a sweet roll. Now, a consideration is playing the Black Dragon, because then we could maybe mill all of the Protector of the Innocents. But I think I want to probably control the board a bit better first before dropping this, and we just have a really great target for Grizzly Gourmet, and if this transforms, we no longer will. So that's the logic behind playing this here and not just running out the Black Dragon. Here's our one of Temple Patriot, which will trigger the Exalt effect of the exact one other card we have in the deck with Exalt. So real great value. Okay. This is fine. We could even silence that so that nothing else gets a buff. Because if our opponent plays more werewolves, next turn they all transform and then they all get this ridiculous buff. So, I actually really like that. Again, the Black Dragon always sort of an option. Okay. Yep. Oh, we could go to RNG Funtown. That's a problem. We don't have an answer to that, right? Mother of Mud indeed. Let's take a trade. Here it is tempting to play the Black Dragon and try to mill the other two of those. Or we could play... We're going to take 8 next turn, right? Which isn't great. That puts us to 14. Or we can roll the dice on Revealing the Unseen and see if we get like a shackle or something. I don't think that's great. If we randomly got a lightning bolt or a crushing blow, or I mean even like a firebolt, it would be good. But if we don't, then we burn this whole turn. I guess then we could put the Black Dragon over here anyway, because we have 7. Sure. Or we just play Spine of Elder's Blood, take 8 ramp. Hopefully our opponent fizzles. Next turn we can Ancano whatever big threat they put down. Yeah, Revealing the Unseen is kind of a card you don't want to play when you're behind. You want to play it when you're... yeah, so that's exceptionally good. Yep. Alright. Luckily, we can answer all of this, and then our opponent will not have a board. So as I was saying about Revealing the Unseen, like, playing it from behind when you don't know what you're going to draw is not great. This is a card you kind of play if your opponent takes a turn off to do something and you don't care about it. You know, maybe just cast a support, or maybe they just don't have a play. It has happened to me where my opponent just didn't have a play. I was able to play Revealing the Unseen. My opponent took a turn off. I kind of did, but it's you really want to cast this card when you have a window to do it. And we're not dealing with this nonsense any longer. So, again, the breakthrough doesn't matter at all because he's going to heal. But next turn we can, if our opponent puts like a few big threats over here, we could Manticora and maybe stabilize at 17. I don't think we have life gain in this deck. Oh my god, you unsummoned on Kano. That's insane. This sucks because we need to use Kano on it again, otherwise it becomes a 5/5 beast. So, even though it's really not what we want to use this for, like, we have to make that play, right? Otherwise, do we just take 5 more? That seems terrible. Oh, God. Well, okay. At least we don't give our opponent another card with that breakthrough, right? We're still trying to get the OTK here. Yeah. That is fine. So I either give this card or this card. I don't think I have any charge creatures. I'm probably just going to play Manticora over here. So let me just give this card to shore up that lane in case my opponent has charge creatures, right? Sure. Okay. Wow. Our opponent missed. That is wild. Because I ordered their plays wrong. Alright, now I think we're in great position. We will Manticora the Jarl. We have 11 on board. We need 15 total, so we will pass. That's fine. Not concerned about this card at all. Manticora will die if we allow this card to attack into it. So I think we honestly probably just want to use Wordcrafter on it, keep it alive, and cast something with 2 more power. And here's where, again, we could Revealing the Unseen here, right? Now we have... This is the turn that we would cast this card, because we have enough control over the board that we can easily take a turn off to do this, ward up the Manticora, and be fine. That being said, our objective is do 15 damage to our opponent and win the game, right? So, to do that, our best play is probably some combination of Wardcrafter over here to keep this alive and Conjuration Scholar, because it just puts the most power on board for the money. So, let's do that. We'll do this, and next turn we're easily representing lethal. I guess we could also ramp again for shits and giggles, right? We could have, again, used that opportunity to play Revealing the Unseen, but I don't, at this point we want to ensure that we get the kill, and now we're just going to go for it. Do we have a 4? We have 2, 3, 4, so we can do that first. Not breaking a rune. I don't know that this deck necessarily runs prophecies, but we are about to find out.
We'll see about this.
Okay.
Wait, don't kill him. That's my son.
So the son is a werewolf. The plot thickens. Let's catch our rewards. Thornwell Terra, 1/3. With beast form +1/+1. So this seems, I mean, again, for a 1-drop, you get a 1/3, which is way better than vanilla stats. And then you can transform it into a werewolf and it gets +1/+1. Here's my thing about this. On turn 1, if you play this, it takes you 4 turns to transform it, assuming nothing else happens. So, does it stay alive that long? I'm not sure if this is good. These werewolves seem... the whole beast form mechanic seems neat, I'm not going to lie. But it also seems like... sometimes you just... I feel like it's either a really big hit where you just transform your werewolves...
That doesn't look like Berylzar's maze band, but it does look valuable.
No. This ring is blessed by her seam. It helps my son control his curse.
We could keep it for our trouble.
So what I was saying is that the werewolf mechanic seems like it probably either hits really hard or misses really hard, where you either transform all your werewolves and wreck your opponent, or you just can't get that synergy going. And then when they're not in their transformed form, their beast mode, they just kind of are weak, right? So unless you get that engine running, it probably is a weak strategy overall. Again, I think so. There are some like that 2-2 with Prophecy that I played in my arena run. I keep referencing this one ever arena run that I did, which was really great. Yeah, playing a 2-2 for free as a Prophecy and then just attacking once, transforming it, and having a 4-3 seems great. So how greedy do we want to be? Do we want to keep the ring, or do we want to return the ring? Like, we're Swims at Night, right? So role-playing, we would keep the ring. The Ring of Hercene. Let's see what happens if... I mean, like, this is the dick move, right? Like, keeping it versus returning it to help the werewolf son. But I think we have to support our ally and make the thief play, right? Keep the ring.
A curse upon you. You hear me? May that ring be cursed.
Kind of looks like Gollum a bit, right? Like, imagine if you take the hair and the shirt off this dude, and I don't know, maybe darkened up the background so it looked like he was in Mordor, right? I mean, he kind of looks a little bit like Gollum anyway, with his hands outstretched and his mannerisms, and he's obsessed about a ring, so I don't know. I think it's natural for us to get there. I'm all over the place in today's video.
The guards dragged in. Welcome to paradise. We won't be here long. We've come to free you. Really? Why? We hear you know something about Berylzar's maze band. I might. Get me out of here, and we'll talk.
Use your lockpicks to free sails through storms. How come all the Argonians in this game look badass? Like, she got some frills and some horns, and Swims at Night is like decked out with all his horns and whatnot. So do we want to play this deck again to... I mean, I played this one mostly in the Fall of the Dark Brotherhood. I think I played this in a match or two, and I just had a great time playing it. Yeah, let's play this one more time at least here, sure. I mean, again, you see, it plays mostly as a control deck. There are card choices in it which I don't think are great, but... Use your lockpicks to free sails through storms. Sure. I don't know what that means. Once you've picked all the locks, sacrifice Dungeon Cell and summon Sails Through Storms in the Shadow Lane. So, either put another lockpick into your hand or draw a card and reduce its cost by 2, chosen randomly. So when you cast this, you have a 50% chance of just getting another one of these, or a 50% chance of drawing a card from your deck with reduced cost of 2. Who watching this video right now remembers how I feel about RNG? This is one of those things where it says chosen randomly, but the game algorithm is probably like, 75 to 80% give you another lockpick, and maybe like 20 to 30% actually cycle the card. So let's see how many lockpicks we cycle before we actually draw deeper into our deck. All right. I don't care about this one toughness creature, so we don't need to Shrieking Harpy. Let's lockpick for the first time here. Alright, we got a free Wardcrafter. Maybe my math was wrong. Or maybe in this match they just arrange it favorably in like the numbers so that you do draw through your deck faster. I don't know. One way or the other, we're not going to play Wardcrafter now. I like to probably get more value out of it. And I don't care about taking 2 damage all that much. That I kind of care about. Like, I think there's definitely consideration on this turn to Shrieking Harpy this. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe now we do also play Wardcrafter because we're going to have to do something about our opponent's board. Okay. Doesn't matter which one I ward, honestly. Okay. Okay. So we have a 1-7, a 1-4, a 1-3. This is not looking great. We could take a turn off to play this, and then if it sticks, we get a 5-5 with guard. I don't hate it. Okay. Or our opponent just gives us a 5-5 with guard. Alright. This is still kind of hard for us to answer. Because we can't do 5 damage to something in the same turn, right? Okay. Do we just go to RNG City with Revealing the Unseen and Lockpick this turn? The reason I'm asking that is because it uses our mana the best, right? Maybe we do this first, though, just to see if we have an answer to anything that's going on here. Now, in the last video, I mentioned that you probably should use Revealing the Unseen when you're not behind, but I don't really consider this board position behind. Our opponent can do 4 damage to us this turn, which isn't crippling, and our opponent has no cards, whereas we have 4. And yeah, I'm not counting the 2 lockpicks, I'm counting these. And now we can Stone Throw this next turn. Like, destroy an enemy creature if you have a creature with higher power. So we might as well just lockpick, see if we draw into something else. Alright, so we're 1-1 with lockpicks. Let's kind of keep track of that. Alright, let's get a Prophecy. No Prophecy. But that's actually quite good. Maybe we just take 2 next turn and play Conjuration Scholar over here, and then we have Execute as backup. Do we have a smarter play than that? Let's do the math here. Conjuration Scholar would eat everything in this lane. We would take 2. If we instead execute this, Stone Throw that, attack in, then we would have to play another lockpick, and then we would take 2, but at least everything would be contained to this lane. Can we Stone Throw this? We can. Okay, so I like that idea because we're going to take the same amount of damage anyway, but now at least everything is contained to this lane, and we have another opportunity to get through lockpick, which I think is probably smart. Let's do that first. Alright, so we're 1-2 on lockpicks. Still counting, still counting. Either one of these trades doesn't work out great for us. But let's just take a power off the board and pass the turn. Sure. And... okay. So now again we have 7. So we could go 6, that would use our whole turn. 6, that would use our whole turn. 4 and 2, or 4 and 2. This would not be the most mana efficient play, but it would be a play that blocks up a whole lane and again helps us just get through lockpicks. So let's try the lockpick first, because we're probably going to play Preserve the Root 100% anyway. But maybe we just draw our second one and then we can play the other lockpick and just have a cheaper one, right? So always draw first. Yeah, see? So this worked out. And then let's put this over here in ramp. Alright, so we're 2 and 3 on lockpicks. Okay. Alright, well, we're just going to start cleaning up this lane. Alright, so once again, what is this? Summon a copy of a friendly creature. Well, that actually could be cool, because we could go, like, Conjuration Scholar over here, and then summon another copy of Conjuration Scholar and just get another 5/5, right? Or even, like, Spine of Elder's Blood, ramp twice. This card works really well with things like Manticora, which is not eligible to play in these 3 colors, but that's why sometimes, again, rolling some random stuff can be fun. This probably kills this, right? Because I think our opponent... I think playing against the AI, I've learned that they make the play that enables them to do the most damage directly to you, I think. So I'm pretty sure this trades with this, and then they're left with a 5/5. So if I'm predicting their behavior correctly, the smart play would be to play Bruma Profiteer over here, and then Conjuration Scholar over here, so that we can block this 5/5 with our guarded Atronach, and then next turn we could always resummon another copy of it. Plus, playing Bruma and then Conjuration Scholar gains us 2 life this turn, because this puts 2 creatures out. And I don't honestly think our life total is in danger, but, you know, in case. Sure. This is somewhat of a high priority kill target, and we drew an execute, which is a perfect draw, because we don't want all of our opponent's creatures getting ward over here. Ward, in my mind, again, after only playing this game for 2 weeks, is maybe one of the best, if not the best, keyword. Like, Breakthrough is okay, don't get me wrong. I got a few times with the it was like once or twice with the Breakthrough Unstoppable Rage fuckery. Yeah, I did. Charge is good for decks that are just looking to close out games and be aggro, and that's fine. I'm also fine with that stat. And Drain is alright, but it only works one way. And then Lethal is kind of like a gimmick where you know, can use ping effects and just kind of really crafty. But the ward thing is so good. Like, Drain doesn't work against ward. Breakthrough only takes the ward off. Lethal doesn't work against ward. If you put ward on a guard, forget it. Let's execute this. I'm ranting while playing, but, you know, that's okay. So now we could just resummon this. Maybe we'll get a damage in first, right? Should we do that? Sure. Alright. Yeah, why not? And then we could sacrifice a creature to summon another copy, though. What do we want to sacrifice? Do we want to sacrifice Bruma Profiteer? I think that's probably fine, right? Because are we going to really need the life in this match? I doubt it. And just locking up this lane is most likely better. Why did it summon it here and not here? Interesting lane placement, game. But you know what? I'm fine with it. As long as we block this 5 damage, that's okay with me. Nobody's getting through this lane ever. Alright. We really need to get through some of these lockpicks now, right? So we're probably going to just... I think we probably just go crazy with it, right? Alright. 2 and 4. 3 and 4. So 3 times it worked, 4 times it didn't. So a little less than 50%, but that's honestly not bad. It's let me put it this way, it's better than I expected it to be. Now full use of our mana here would be 4 and 3. Let's do that. Yep. And 3. And we'll just poke for 2, not give a card, and then when this attacks here next turn, we'll take this trade, and then what does Sails Through Storms even do? I didn't even look. 6 for 5/5 Pilfer, summon the top creature of your deck. So we're definitely going to want to clear creatures out here so that we have room for them on our board. That is cool. Knowing our opponent, they'll immediately have like a Piercing Javelin for it and ruin our day, but nope. Alright, the plan is still on. The plan is not still on. I mean, we're going to Piercing Javelin that. I don't know if it's the best Jav target, but we're doing it just so that we can get this effect. So we go 3 there. Piercing Javelin this. Kill the shit out of this. And Sails Through Storms. Make it happen. Sails Through Storms does it again. What do we get? A Hive Defender! I love everything about that. Yeah. Let's ramp and pass the turn.
Soldiers, form up. Above all, discipline.
Alright, so all of the creatures are buffed, and this is looking for a guard. Can we win? I'm sorry, let's do some math here. We have 6, 7, 12, 13, 17, 18, 21. I mean, we easily have lethal. We're going to attack with this first, obviously. Cool. That was wrong. We should have attacked with one of these first, but I got a little excited about it, and I figure why not. Alright, let's just go for it. And honestly, we probably should give the win to one of these Conjuration Scholars for holding down that lane the whole time, right? Oh, I forgot how to do math there. Oh my god. I'll tell you what. Work this week has been brutal. So, I'm recording this at night, late at night, on a Thursday. I'm so done with this week. And I think it's probably evident in my play. The Escape Artist, free Sails Through Storms and Mistveil Dungeon. I mean, I guess it is possible to win that game without doing that, but I'm glad we did, right? Do we get her? Oh, no. Alright, Mistveil Warden. Treasure Hunt Guard, give the guard +1/+2. Well, I do like playing with guards in decks, and I think that there's a lot of synergy in purple and yellow for guards. And, you know, we kind of saw it in our opponent's deck, but I don't really know that it was teched correctly, but I could easily see, I mean, 3 for a 2/4 isn't bad, but imagine like 3 for a 2/4, it survives a turn, you draw a Hive Defender, and all of a sudden for 4, you have a 5/8 guard. It's conditional. All these treasure hunt keywords are super conditional. But I think, again, this is one of those things where this game allows you to put stuff in the correct shell, and then you can get value out of the cards. So,
this journal. It belonged to a great adventurer who claims to have hidden the ring in the most dangerous place they could find. It's sealed inside a dragon cult tomb.
Okay. Sure.
This is the chamber the journal points to, but the door is magically sealed.
This inscription reads, "Only the dead may walk these halls. Take up the chalice. Heed Alduin's call."
They killed themselves. Drank poison from this chalice. You don't think...
That the door only opens for the poisoned? Might be. I can brew a poison that won't kill us, but it won't be pleasant.
I'm not drinking poison just to find some ring. I'm out.
Your loss. Me? I'll do a lot for treasure, and lost cities are always full of treasure.
So here's something. I think Swims at Night voice actors killing it. Again, that doesn't really matter, right? But I still think it's cool. Rewards, Hallowed Death Priest. So again, you're seeing this video after I've already played a bit in ranked play and had some of these cards used against me. And for everyone who's not exactly sure how to measure the value of a card, here's how you do it. It's not when you play it, it's when your opponent plays it. If your opponent plays a card and your reaction is, that's no big deal, like who cares, it's probably either a weak or a mid-level card. If your opponent plays a card and you're like, shit, that sucks, it's possibly going to be a way I lose this game, that's a good card. So next time you're playing and you're thinking about, how do I know whether a card is good or bad? It's not necessarily how you use it in a game, but gauge how you feel when your opponents play certain cards against you. That being said, you can fall in a trap where a card is more annoying than just outright good. Like, some cards are just annoying to deal with, but they're not great. Like, there's a card that I played, and I don't remember the name of it, so everyone watching, excuse me, but it's a support, and basically when you play a creature, it gets a random keyword, and it was featured in, I think, the Fall of the Dark Brotherhood expansion in that one match where we each had 3 supports, and I was playing against the dregs or whatever, and we were spitting out creatures every turn, and one of the effects was, it was this, was a support, and when you cast a creature, it gets a random keyword. I don't necessarily think that card is great, honestly. I think it probably helps you steal games, but when you see your opponent play it, you're still like, oh man, I can't believe I have to deal with that. I don't think it makes it good, I think it makes it annoying, but this card, all of that whole diatribe is leading up to me saying that this card has been played against me, and I actually think it's good. And there's a reason why I think this card is so good in this game. And the reason is essentially one word: interaction. Because in games like Magic, for instance, which is where my primary background is in, trading card games or card collection games or whatever, every single match you have the opportunity to interact with your opponent in some way, right? There are things like instants and, triggered effects and whatnot that there are times during the game that you can, use those effects or cast those cards or whatever. In this game, you don't actually have any interaction between you and your opponent, in the sense that, like, you play your turn and you can do whatever you want on your turn. It doesn't matter at all. And then your opponent can do whatever, he or she wants to do on their turn, and it doesn't matter. And then you take your turn again, and maybe they put a big creature out and you have a piercing javelin for it. So you kill it, and that's your interaction. But beyond just going back and forth, it's sort of a very non-interactive game. Like, you don't interact with what your opponent's doing until it's your turn to make a choice to do it. This card interacts with your opponent on your turn, or your opponent can interact with you because it takes the highest cost creature in your hand. If your opponent plays it, for instance, you get how the card works. Transforms it into a shriveled mummy. And I think that this game is probably really lacking effects like this. I haven't seen a lot of effects like this, and I think it's great. Now, don't get me wrong, hitting like a one of Alduin, or like an opponent uses against me and hit a Tazcat once. They hit it on Kano once. Like, those are my finishers, you know? So when your opponent hits a finisher like that, this is where I'm saying, like, what was my reaction when my opponent did that? It was like, wow, okay, now I had a game plan for winning this game, and now I need to change my game plan because, you know, my opponent played this one card. If they had just put, like, a guard in the way or something, that would have also stalled, but, like, the ultimate game plan would have been control the guard and then win the game with a finisher, which I had in my hand. This kind of card makes you change your game plan and change your strategy when your opponent plays it. And, you know, 5 for a 3/5 body is fine in and of itself, but I really like this effect, and I think it's probably really good for this game. So, a bit of a rant there, but yeah.
There's the ring.
Oh, we got there.
I guess the poison isn't the only thing that makes this place dangerous.
At the start of each turn, lose 1 health. Poison intensifies by 1 if you are at 15 health or less. Okay. So, in a match like this, we don't want to play a control deck because we want to be taking turns in a control deck, and that's going to be very bad. We probably want to play something that gains a bit of life, and we probably want to play something that is a bit aggressive-ish. This might be the most aggressive thing I have in my mid-range warrior. And here's another rant. So, you know, feel free to skip ahead if you are not interested in my thoughts about this game at all. But part of the reason why I'm doing this Let's Play and why I, you know, started this video series was because my friends know that I like other games like this, and we're like, you should check it out and, you know, let us know what you think. And part of that is sharing honest feedback. And my honest feedback about the Elder Scrolls Legends community is that they don't understand what mid-range means. I've actually done a little bit of research in the community now, and I see a lot of people posting mid-range decks, and it's kind of the same way I have it labeled, but I think my interpretation and everyone else's interpretation of it might be a little bit different. So I think something that needs to be said is that everybody else's interpretation of mid-range is actually, in my mind, aggro, because if all you're ever doing is playing really, really great cards on curve and swinging face every turn and trying to kill your opponent as fast as possible, like, I saw a video of somebody playing a mid-range deck and they won on turn 4. That's not mid-range. If you're winning on turn 4, then you're just playing an aggro deck, and we probably need to reclassify how you feel. Mid-range deck does control the board, and the point of a mid-range, like, a straight-up control deck essentially just does nothing, right? It's just draw go. You just control the board, control the board, control the board, do nothing, do nothing, do nothing, and after 45 minutes you somehow find a way to win. That's a control deck. A mid-range deck does control the board and it interacts. It's not just play something and like race to the finish line. It's play really good value. And so I labeled a lot of this stuff mid-range because it's just playing really good value creatures in every every mana spot. So like I have mid-range warrior, and which I think is what we'll probably play here, because again, it's aggressive enough that it just kind of puts so much power on the board, right? Circle Initiate, Dragontail Savior, Orc Clan Captain, Protector and the Innocent, Stormcloak, Battle Rage Orc. But the reason that I have this labeled mid-range, and it probably really should be labeled an aggro deck, because it kind of is what it is. Like, you just want to play good creatures and kill your opponent before they get to killing you, is because every single one of these creatures in their spot does something, right? This has Beast Form. This is... this can get a buff. This gives everything else a buff. This has Prophecy and Guard. This is a 2-for-1. This has Charge. This is a 2-for-1. This is kind of a 2-for-1 if you look at it that way. This has the potential to be a 4-for-1 if you get uber lucky. 3 for a 4/4 with Breakthrough, right? You just play stuff on curve that does stuff and is really good. But the problem with a deck like this is that in this game where there is no interaction, see, that's where it's kind of funny I'm having this conversation in the same video as I just had the conversation about that last card we unlocked. In a deck like this, in this game, where you don't have any interaction with your opponent, like mid-rangey value strategies just end up looking like aggressive strategies because you don't have any interaction. So in a deck like this, if you don't win before your opponent can stabilize, you lose, right? So it ends up coming off like you're just an aggro deck when you're really just trying to play good value stuff on curve and, you know, always have a strong play. But the way that this game is constructed, that there isn't a ton of interaction between you and your opponent, if you don't get to killing before your opponent stabilizes, then most likely you do just die. So this is kind of, I think, my biggest criticism of the game so far is the lack of interaction between what you do and what your opponent does, and the fact that like your opponent could do something really great and you either just have to have an answer or not, and that's the only level of interaction that there is. That said, I still think that this is sort of a mid-range deck in the sense that you are just playing good value stuff on curve, and that was my definition of mid-range when I created these decks and I went over the original deck text. They weren't intended to be you know, super aggressive or whatever. It was just intended to get a lot of value. And I even made a joke about the aggression in one of my other videos where I think I did win on like turn 4 or turn 5 or something. It was something totally stupid, and I made a crack at it. I was just like, yep, mid-range warrior. And for those of you who saw that video, the sort of the joke or the expression on my face, it was a little smirk, thinking to myself, like, I basically am playing an aggro deck, and that's not my style. But hey, it got the job done. So we're going to play this in this match because I think that it does put so much power on board, and we do have the opportunity to win before that poison kills us. So let's go for it. Everyone's seen the deck. We're fighting Dragon Priests. Some of the best enemies in Skyrim, by the way, and some of the best rewards as well. Dragon Priest masks. You've taken poison, it will damage you every turn. There's nothing quite like completing the Mage Guild questline in Skyrim, getting the Mage's robes, and then getting the corresponding Dragon Priest mask that you can wear with those robes, and being a badass mage. Alright, here we go. We take a damage, and we don't have a turn 1 play. I don't actually think this deck has turn 1 plays. Alright, well, we're immediately going to forget about this lane altogether. We might, if our opponent puts a guard here, we might just lose. And that triggers, so I think we might just lose. God. I'm going to play this, and I'm not going to attack. And the reason I'm not going to attack is because if I keep this in cover, our opponent can't attack into it. And if our opponent can't attack into it, they may be tempted to take this favorable trade with Circle Initiate. And if they do that, then next turn I can play Orc Clan Captain and kill it, and then I'll only 2-for-1 myself instead of maybe having to 3-for-1 myself. Like if I attack here with this and then they kill this, then both of these creatures die and it's still alive. Whereas if I don't attack now, it gives me the best odds next turn of being able to play Orc Clan Captain and killing it. So we're kind of all in on that game plan, and hopefully that works. Maybe, and we're not, and the reason we're not going to attack here is because maybe our opponent makes the greedy play and again attacks us directly, and then we get to keep this alive and possibly get value out of it. But I honestly think we probably have already lost this game with a guard in each lane. Alright. That's good for us. It's very good for us. Okay. Sure. Alright, well, we get to live the dream. And by live the dream, I mean get through a guard. I'm not sure it's great, but it is a play. And then we put this over here. Prevent some damage. I mean, you know, when a creature in this lane dies, that gets 1/1. Sure. Okay, 2 for 1 himself to buff that up. Never in a million years triggering. We could Skaven Pyromancer to kill that. I mean, this would get another buff, but... And then also Stormcloak Vanguard and go face for 2. Yep. So these 2 can trade, which is fine, unless something else here dies. And so, do we play this? I don't think so. Maybe we do. Because we'd always play this next turn in charge. So I think we want to play the creature that doesn't... that suffers from summoning sickness. Take this trade. Oh, God. Oh, God, we are so dead. Yeah. I don't even think we have any prophecies in here either. That's fine. Maybe we need something with some life gain, like that, maybe we play the yellow-purple deck with, like, the 3/2s that give you life and the prophecy things that give you life. Maybe we even put, like, some healing potions in here, right? Because I normally think that card is terrible, but in this match it might actually be okay. But generally speaking, let the record show, I think that card is terrible. We could just Underworld Vigilante into that, keep all this alive, and try to race.
There's nowhere they can hide.
Doesn't suck, right? Here's what I'm talking about. Like, we kind of pivoted just to an aggro deck, right? We just did 5, 8, 10 damage in one turn. Our opponent's been attacking us this whole game, and we're only 5 life behind. And next turn, we have 2, 3, 4 reach from hand. If we fade a turn or 2, we might even just win. Sure. Okay. Sure. That's actually tremendous. 6/6. We don't have an answer to any of these things. I think we have to put this over here to eat damage. Or maybe we put it over here, but this has breakthrough, so like, who cares? But if this attacks into it, then it kills it. We could put this here, and it would get a buff to kill that. Make some trades. Again, I think we lose next turn. Yeah. Yep. And what do we buff? Like, if we buff this, it doesn't kill that anyway. So we need to buff something else. And this is the target they're most likely to kill. Or maybe this one, because it does the most damage. I think we have to incentivize them to kill this so that this stays alive. We just have to go for it. Hope that we survive next turn. We're going to take 2, 3, 4, 4 is 7, and then 1 to the potion and we die? I think we're dead. Yeah, that guard at the beginning fucked us so hard. Yeah, we're dead. Okay. Yeah, alright. I think we try this one more time before we retech, because this does seem like it has the power to get it done. Our opponent with those 2 guards was just a tremendous start against.
I guess the poison isn't the only
Right.
thing that makes this place.
Alright, let's try again. That 1/4 guard was tremendously good against what I was trying to do there. It was almost embarrassingly good. Considering I think the card is kind of just... I mean, it has prophecy, but I mean, a 1/4 isn't awesome. So, like I said, I think it's We also don't have the ring again. Alright. We're going to play this instead of this because I just want to prevent as much damage as possible. And there's that guard again. Wow, that is so good against what we're trying to do here. Like, we can't play this. We have to play this and hope to God it triggers. There we go. We'll let our opponent take trades here. Well, yeah. This is disappointing in every sense of the word. Because this does this 100%. Yeah. So, what's our best play? I think Mighty Ally. And here's why I think Mighty Ally. Because if it triggers, we get another 6/3. If it doesn't trigger, we get a 3/3. If we just put this out, it's a 3/3 anyway. And this is a 2/2. And you really want to play this on a turn when you have like a lane. And then you can just get the extra damage. So let's... 2 triggers in a row was just tremendous. And now our opponent's playing something for 5. Fine. Like, it's not fine. We can't really take 4 damage a turn. Alright, but that is actually fine, I think. Yeah. So we can just literally put every single egg in the Mighty Ally basket and go... We can just put this over here to eat 4 more damage, which we may need to do. No, I think we honestly do need to guard over here so our opponent can't just trade into this then. Yep. Alright. Like, I don't know why our opponent attacks in that order. I mean, it does work out better for us that way, but... Sure, that's never happening. I mean, we could theoretically trigger it next turn, but that is not what we are trying to do here. Okay, so we have 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We have lethal in hand. And we also have it with Underworld Vigilante. So... Alright, so how do we want to do this? Just one shot?
There's nowhere they can hide.
The ring is ours.
Alright.
I'm afraid not.
So,
Thanks for leading us to it now.
alright, Mysterious Figure takes it. So, remember that rant I went on about how these decks are, it's called Midrange, but it's really just aggro, and we won on turn 6? Yeah, that's aggressive. So maybe maybe the community has that categorized incorrectly. Maybe. But I feel like if you're winning on turn 6, you're not a mid-range deck. You're just going face. Destroy 500 runes. Yeah, well, I mean, with this deck we're playing, sure. Alright, weakness. Set a creature's health to 1. I got this as an action with my RNG 2-for-1, the 3-drop that draws you 2 random actions. Let me tell you another way that you can evaluate whether or not a card is good. If it sits in your hand all game and you never use it, and you never need to use it, it's probably not great. Alright, Sails Through Storms. Sails Through Storms does it again. We did it.
In their weakened state, the hero and the swims at night could not hold off the treasure hunters. They seized the ring. But swims at night would not give up his prize. At the last moment, he reached out and grabbed the hunters. No, you don't. And was whisked away with them into the mysterious city. With swims at night in danger, the hero sought the help of an old and learned friend.
Ugh.
Was now a teacher at the College of Winterhold. Perhaps she knew another way into the lost city.
I really wish maybe like a game developer will randomly see this video and think to themselves, wow, this is the most insightful video anybody has ever produced about this game. And when I say that they probably should prompt the player to begin episode 2 instead of just like auto doing it for literally only this one reason ever, the fact that if somebody's recording a video, it just kind of goes into the next episode intro at the end of the first episode video, that might be some good feedback. But anyway, that aside, these games and these matches in this expansion are, again, just as good as I think the Fall of the Dark Brotherhood expansion, and I'm really, really pleased that I got it. I'm having a great time playing through the Clockwork City expansion. I got another card that goes into Swims at Night. I mean, again, it seems good. It's one of those cards that needs to stick for a turn, but if your opponent doesn't have an answer to it, even if you just get a free creature out of it, it's probably great, right? And it becomes a super high priority target, so you can kind of bait out removal with a card like that, because you play it and your opponent's just like, oh my god, I gotta kill that, otherwise they're gonna go to Value Town. So it kind of allows you to maybe bait out a piece of removal if you have a stronger card in hand, and then you really want that to stick on the following turn, right? Because how many javelins can a player have, right? So you bait out a piercing javelin with Swims at Night, you play a stronger card in your hand next turn, that sticks. Probably a good strategy anyway with a lot of these legendaries. You can kind of use them as bait and then do what you really want to do. So really enjoyed playing through episode 1. Hope everyone watched it. And again, if you enjoy my feedback on the cards and the game design and whatnot, let me know. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you in episode 2.